Yo, yo, yo. Episode 4 of the Simulacra podcast. We're here again with my friend John Wherry, part 2. Say what's up.
Hello. I'm John Wherry.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Just like last time, introducing himself. Yeah, let's go ahead and get right into this. Let me know about this past week. How you been, bro?
It's been just bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
College applications are coming in fast. Math test, I bombed that. AP Gov test, I did pretty good because I'm that political man. And then I just found out 5 minutes ago that I have a speech and debate quiz that's due at midnight. So,
but
we're not even out of the woods yet.
Priority management, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get this podcast episode done. School can wait. College apps. What's stressful about that? Essay specifically?
Yeah, the essay. I would say I'm a decent writer. Some people call me a good writer. I say I'm a bad writer. But I just cannot write. For some reason, I can't write about myself, which is weird because I was always like, why should a test score define who I am, the ACT?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I wish it did because I can't write about myself now.
Yeah.
But I'm reading some more college essays, some examples.
Get some inspiration going.
Yeah, there's like a formula to it, so I just need to master that.
It's almost unfortunate that there's a formula to it because if anything, they should be looking for authenticity, right? Because a student can have good grades, good test scores, but supposedly the essay is what tells them who you are. And if you're doing it by a formula, I guess that's what makes it stressful. That's just what you have to do. But unfortunate that you have to know that somebody's going to read that and judge you entirely based off of that essay.
Yeah, I mean, there is authenticity that goes into it. And I bet they can understand when someone's actually talking about themselves, what they've done, rather than someone making it up. I think what you're talking about is creativity. Like I said, there's almost like a formula to it, which is always needed to judge people. Because once you start getting into creativity, it's hard to accurately judge what is creative and what's really kind of just mediocre or something like that.
Looks like you got to be an admissions counselor. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing, John. Yeah, and some colleges you don't need essays. I guess not for the most prestigious colleges. You do need to write an essay, but other than that, you're being judged based off of essentially numbers. Which would you say that those numbers accurately measure your intelligence? It's a difficult question.
Yeah, because I think I'm pretty certain that those ACT tests, SAT tests are just kind of IQ tests in a way. You can also master like how to take the test, and then you can do pretty good on it. If it does measure intelligence, then I'm pretty dumb.
You can't say that. There's this curve where the x-axis is, I think the x-axis is intelligence and the y-axis is confidence. And sort of there's like the smartest people think that they're stupid because they're the ones that always think you can learn more. And then everybody else is kind of in the middle. And then the dumbest people are also extremely confident. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary to ask a question that essentially is questioning the entire education system. Are we really measuring students right? Um, but yeah, like an ACT test, you could literally buy one of those thick books or AP exams and study the crap out of them and do just fine.
Yeah, I had
So
a huge stack next to me probably this whole summer, but I never opened them. I think or
just kind of,
something. They were just like paper holders.
yeah, just kind of went in blind.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, I guess you could say it measures your intelligence better if you don't study at all.
oh, I don't know.
That's
I
gonna
just
make you
didn't
feel a
like.
little self-conscious.
Yeah, I didn't like the test. It
Yeah.
was really stressful on me.
It's also an issue that those tests are timed, and every student, just because you can read faster doesn't mean you're a better reader. So I remember on the reading portion, I didn't even finish. Like the last 5 questions, I put random answers down.
For me, it
Um,
was like the last 10, I think, or something bad. Oish.
that's the thing. Like I don't think those tests should have a time limit, or it should be a much more realistic time limit. Uh, a minute per question can't is not enough. So based on that, this is something we were talking about the other day. Maybe not so much tests, but grades. Would you say that they're a better measurement of work ethic?
Um, the problem with me is that I don't get the best grades. Like I get what so far I have all A's and one B,
Well, I mean,
which I guess now that I say that out loud, I guess
damn, that I'd say
those
that's
are
pretty
good
good,
things.
John.
Yeah, but still, I have a B. I feel so dumb in math. Um, one
You
because I
also
haven't practiced it enough, but two
you're
because I have a
also
B.
taking more rigorous classes though, so that's even more of an accomplishment. But for most classes, your grade kind of just depends on the assignments you turn in, except like math, for example, where the majority of the weight is on a test. So you do have to do good on a test.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I guess I'm going to call out the entire education system. But when you pressure kids that much for a test, they're bound to cheat. It happens. So yeah, that's it. It's like school, it doesn't make you smart, it more so makes you like knowledgeable, no, right? Like you have more knowledge, you know more things, but it doesn't. I would say being smart or having intelligence is more of your ability of how you can think on your own, you know
Mm.
not just knowing things. uh
We had a
mm,
didn't we have a debate about that in school
we
in
did.
class? I think our English class last year.
I have the worst memory.
Okay.
I don't even remember what we talked about last year. But uh aside from that though, that's the thing. That's not something that we can really challenge, because it's like people that say defund the police, shit like that. I guess we're not even like 10 minutes in. I turned that a little too controversial. I'm just saying, when you sort of have these criticize like yeah, when you criticize a system like that, you have to ask yourself what replaces it.
Hmm.
um, and I don't see which way we can measure students differently. So it's like we can complain about it all we want, but it's like, what would we replace it with? How else would you do it?
Yeah. Um, I'm really not sure. Because I know that the French the French think they're smarter than Americans, or they look down upon Americans. Maybe they just look down upon everyone.
The French are
I'm
pretty
not sure.
patriotic. Yeah.
Yeah. They study philosophy in school. Um, but
Awesome.
I don't even think we have an AP philosophy class in our school, right?
It's not even an elective option. There's no.
Yeah, it's just like you learn a little bit about it in English if you're lucky.
We got lucky because our English teacher was a philosophy major.
Yeah, yeah.
If he
Shout out.
wasn't, we probably wouldn't have learned anything.
um, mm, but as to the question, do grades measure intelligence? I don't know, but I know that it does measure hard work,
Yeah,
and I know that with my brother because throughout middle school he got, I think, C's, B's, maybe one A,
just average.
sometimes a D. Yeah, um, kind of just lower than what I was.
Hmm.
And then this year with homeschooling, or sort of like online school,
Right.
my sister's here to just push him and keep him in check all the time. So he's reading like 60 pages a day. I think 70. He's up to 70 pages a day now, reading a book, um, and then getting 100% on every math test. Like just
Yeah.
laser focus on everything. There
Is he
was
a
something.
freshman now?
Yeah, he's a freshman
Okay.
now. I forgot what class it was. Maybe English or something, where my brother memorized the slides that the teacher was showing, and then I guess the teacher was showing like a practice quiz or something, and she said, "Okay, what's the answer to this question?" And my brother answered it because it was the same, I guess,
So,
question or something on a slide,
hmm. Hmm.
and she was like, "Did you cheat?" or something like that. He just memorized it.
In sixth grade, I remember I thought I was some sort of whiz kid in sixth grade math, but our teacher would give it. Well, I mean, they do this in high school too. You get a practice test like a week before the test, and this teacher in sixth grade would make the practice test identical to the actual test. So I don't know how kids did bad in that class because you could have really just done the test at home. But yeah, it was just about memorizing the answers. Um, that's another thing. Maybe you can argue that school really just challenges your work ethic, but also a lot of it is memorization, especially with maybe not so much with math because you have to, it's more about memorizing a process and a formula and how to figure it out. But with like history, for example, that's pure memorization. Although I do think history is a very important subject. I think it needs to be taught. But yeah, it's like sort of we lack some sort of moral or ethical education or philosophy even, and that might be biased since I'm going to be a philosophy major, but still I think we need that
I forgot.
education of the mind without education of the heart is no education at all.
Yeah. hmm Um, I forgot to mention. Uh, so my brother got bad grades throughout middle school. Now he's getting all A's. He's doing better than me now.
You
So
have 1B, you can't be that hard on yourself, John.
yeah, except all his A's are like 100%. My
Okay,
my
but
B is like an 80.
it's online school
Uh,
too.
oh, uh, what was I? Oh, but I think what my brother is doing, uh, along with getting 100% in every class, reading a bunch of books.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that's almost like education for the heart. There's something
Yeah,
about reading that's just a different process, especially when it's a hard book, not when it's a baby book. Because I just
you're not
realized
gonna
that
learn
all
if
we
you read.
read in school is just shit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they should tell us to go to a library sometime and
yeah.
read some psychology or something like that.
Um, definitely. In general, like at least I have you. You have an older dad. I have older parents too. There was probably one TV in their home, if even, when they were young. So that's how people entertained themselves. They read books. But now it's like if an Instagram caption is too long, you're not reading it. So imagine telling
Mm.
somebody to read a book. I definitely think that would make a. That's where we learn the most. I think reading books, which is something I should probably force myself to do more with this stack over here. But it's good that he's doing that. And yeah, reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid isn't gonna get you anywhere, or The Maze Runner, or these sort of fiction books. Not really. You know, you need to challenge yourself.
Mhm.
You read The Art of War, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I didn't get through all of it because, um, just school started coming into play, and I kinda got lost throughout it all. I was planning on using the Art of War sort of mindset, in, like, PUBG, or just thinking how I can win video games with the Art of
Well,
War.
what does the book talk about?
I think the most important aspect of the book is deception. Just tricking, like mind tricking your enemy into thinking that they've won when in reality they've lost.
Mm.
But actually, now that I say that, the most important aspect of the book is to win the battle without having to fight, or what? To win the war without fighting a battle, or something like that. Um, just going into a place and then taking it over that way. Sort of. There's a lot more that goes into it. I think it's Sun Tzu. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, the Eastern philosophers.
Yeah, yeah.
And you also read a challenging psychology book by Carl Jung.
Mhm.
How was
Uh,
that?
I don't know. It was
What did you take
it
from it?
was,
What did you take from it?
um, trying to be an individual, and not, like, getting into groups or something like that. Trying to have a different sort of mindset so that you're not led by dogmatic, I guess, groups or associations or something like that. That's why I don't really wanna. I remember you said, "Why don't you follow Jordan Peterson?" Or something like that, where,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you're just like, "Why don't you know a lot about Jordan Peterson?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just don't wanna,
You,
I think, look up
I
to
guess,
him as a god."
yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah. No,
he's
and you
definitely
shouldn't look up to anyone as a god
yeah.
except maybe God himself if you believe in one.
Mhm. Like, you gotta question everything almost. You gotta question who you listen to,
Of
why are they
course.
saying everything. That was a really
This
cool book. Too hard for me, but great.
maybe you reread it in 5 years and
Oh, yeah.
you take it in differently.
Mhm,
That would be
definitely.
interesting. But yeah, definitely herd mentality is a threat to society, and people don't question things anymore. Uh, we see this because everyone watches the news and is obsessed with the media, or is obsessed with a politician. You know, that's you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. um, that's when do you ask yourself, you know, why? What do they stand for? Whatever. Um, Curiosity, you know, wonder. This is how we learn more. And
Oh,
morality too.
I wanted to bring up one point about that.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Um, I think it we usually say that, mm, like, the 1950s to maybe the 70s or 80s, maybe even 90s, you could largely control the American public because they all watch TV, and it was
Mhm,
kind of more of a homogenous media where
mhm,
everybody kind of listens to the same music. Um, they probably watch the same news channel. They probably all watch MTV and Saturday Night Live.
yeah.
And I've wondered, does the internet, with all of our different communities, like, you can't even keep track of them all, does that make it easier or harder to, I guess, you could say, mind control or just influence people? Because
Why
people are
why
easily more controllable when they're divided than when they're all
Oh,
together.
yeah. I
So,
just I just saw something today. It was a quote that said like, if you can make someone believe absurdities, you can make someone commit atrocities.
Mhm.
And I definitely think it's easier to do with the internet, 100%. Um, why whenever I have you on, I gotta stop. You're the one asking me questions. But we could definitely branch off with it. it I don't know how to say this. Freedom of speech is obviously very important, but it's like the internet sort of gives anyone a voice.
Mhm.
Uh, and I suppose there's a certain danger to that. And also, it's impossible when you have literally billions of people connected to fact check everything, you know, compared to when there was just like a radio or a TV. So that's why having less social media, spending less time on the internet is healthier. That's why now we have more flat earthers than ever because you sort of give them a community that makes them think they're right, and feeds them the same crap over and over again. So,
Mhm.
but it's going to be interesting to see in the future what sort of. I guess we need some sort of legislature and cyber laws and cyber privacy before we screw ourselves over with it. Social dilemma. I guess that's a very limited perspective about it, but that documentary just about sums it all up. Uh, and also, it's a less emotional world with the
Mhm.
internet because, and I guess this contributes also. Damn, it seems like we're blaming everything on the internet, but I guess we sort of can. For example, why people don't read so much. Having everything here, people have lower attention spans. Nobody's going to sit down and read a book. You could just scroll for hours and
Spark
refresh. And
notes.
there's, yeah, or yeah, exactly. Or you could just go on Spark Notes. I mean, hell, you can even pay for something to write you an essay. You don't even have to write it yourself anymore. Uh, but yeah, like we talked about this the other day. Like, imagine when you fell in love with a girl 30, 40 years ago and you had to write her a letter. And that sounds kind of trivial. It's like, I mean, you could also write her a really long text, but it's like when you're writing a letter in pen, you're putting thought into it. It's more emotional. It takes time to send. And now everything is just instant. It's almost meaningless. And then on the other side, when it comes to like politics, there's just people putting a bunch of crap out there and people believing it because it's just so complicated. We're not going to take away technology, so it's like how are we going to learn to live with it?
I don't know. I think we have to go so far down the rabbit hole to come back up.
Yeah, we have to
Um,
we have to go so low that the only way is up.
yeah,
I'd say we're getting pretty close.
yeah. It feels like it. It feels like on an individual level, where it's like I don't know. It's the internet just feels so jarring at this point
Hmm.
to where it feels good where you turn it off, but it's so hard to turn it off. It's complicated, like you said.
Yeah,
It'll define
that's
our generation, that's for sure.
oh well, that's what's worrying. Well, I guess I could be seen as a hypocrite because the only way I can chase my dream of being a podcaster is thanks to
The
the
internet.
internet. So
Mm.
it's not all negative. There's obviously a lot of positive to it, uh, but it's not all positive. That's the thing. Because I could also be making a podcast that's like radical, and I could get followers like that. Uh,
Mhm.
but that's the issue. That, for example, our parents or older siblings or just older people in general, like 30-year-olds, whatever, they got technology after they developed, post 18, 20 years old. And we were born right when technology was advancing the most. So it's like once we went to middle school, kids had iPhones, like an iPhone 4, which was like the second iPhone. So we've our brains have developed with it. So if it was older people, I'm sure they could sacrifice it more. But how is our generation that's going to lead in the future put limits on that? I don't know. It's kind of crucified. I don't want to think we're screwed because I think it'll bring out the best in humanity in the end. But
Uh, what's most surprising, like the generation after us, I probably they're part of the same generation. I'm not sure, um, but I remember being at a swim meet one time, and this girl. This was when Musically was a thing. Or was there something before Musically?
no, it was like the
It was just
musically Vine
Musically.
era.
It was Vine, and then Musically, then TikTok. This
Yeah.
girl was like on Musically, and I think she was like doing something, maybe dancing or just watching Jacob Sartorius.
Oh man.
um, and I worry about those people because, like I said, you can just follow people as if they're deities,
Yeah.
or dance like them, and then I don't know. There's just something. My mind doesn't think that it's the best thing to do. But at the same
Give
time, I was probably dancing to like Barney or Elmo when I was
it's
maybe
so
her age.
it's so crazy to me to think that Charlie D'Amelio, who was I think 15 when she started doing it, doing literally like TikTok dances. Like I'm not if you dance and you do them, good for you. It's like it's something that I'm sure anybody can get down. And she blew up. She has nearly 100 million followers. Like think about that. Nearly 100 million. She has like 30% of America following her. She was just a regular 15-year-old girl. Now she lives in a mansion with her parents. For what? What did she contribute?
Well, I dance. I make my own videos. I dance, and I only have like 400 followers.
But that's
Where's
like the
my
people
follower?
you know. I mean, start doing it on TikTok. Let's see where you go, John. Maybe you blow up.
I don't know. I don't think I'll stoop that low. I'm afraid of
But
that type of fame.
that's the other than that, it's just like there's no real value to those little dances, you know. Um,
I'd be too self-aware of it. I would start thinking, why am I dancing? I'm
yeah,
like a monkey,
maybe that's
a
a good thing
jester.
though. Self-reflection is good,
Mm.
but I mean that's not bad to dancing. Like dancing is obviously amazing and it's a great like expression of emotion. It's just the TikTok dances though.
We're so
It's
simple.
not. It's not. It's not like you've seen like actual dance. Like on a theater. Like that's beautiful.
I did ballroom dancing for a year, I think.
John's a very artistic person. Just so you guys know, he
Yeah, I
sings. Now I'm learning that he dances. He plays the bass, and we'll get into that later because John has a story to tell. But anyways, continue. Let me know about the ballroom dance.
I learned how to do the salsa
Hmm.
and waltz, like
Yeah.
holding the hand around. And I think something else, but I
What a
forgot.
band.
Um, and I'm very thankful that my trainer was like this young Russian lady. So it was always nice to go there.
You gotta give it to the Russians, man. They have some amazing culture. Uh, the music, the dance, the literature specifically. Uh, I'm sure if you like that Carl Jung book, we should probably read Dostoevsky. I might be butchering that pronunciation,
Uh,
but
yeah.
he's gonna get a Dostoevsky
I,
book. And
I think I have. I
yeah,
think I have Crime and Punishment in there.
yeah, I think my dad has that one. I'm gonna have to ask him for it.
My my pets were always named after Russian poets. So I had this tortoise that unfortunately died earlier this year in the summer, I think.
Rest in
Rest in
peace.
peace, Pushkin. Uh,
Pushkin.
yeah, such a good name, like for a tortoise, Pushkin. Um, and then I had this noisy, just uncomfortable cockatiel bird. Do you know what those are? They're like gray, yellow, red cheeks.
I
Sometimes
can
they have
picture it.
white. Kind of little bird. Um, that was really loud, and I don't know. I liked it because I like chaos, and I like it
It
when it's
suits
just
you.
like full on noise.
Yeah.
Um, whose name was Dostoevsky, and
Awesome.
ran away. Yeah, but
He flew away, just gone.
yeah, after I think 2 or 3 years of just leaving the door open, and he never ran out. Just one day he was like, "Okay, I'm out. Bye
I
bye."
guess he was planning for 2 or 3 years.
I don't know. Maybe he was fine with us for the 2 or 3 years, and then he just got sick of us. Mm.
Maybe he's still out there. Dostoevsky, come back.
Maybe.
But yeah. Um, but since you brought up the ballroom dance, I guess we can get into another one of your artistic abilities, which is that you play the bass. So John actually had the opportunity to perform at the Latin Grammys. You want to go into that?
Yeah. So, hmm, my dad, being a college professor, knows some sort of like professional musicians. So I was taught bass by one of the bassists. I don't think he was the lead bassist, no, but like one of the best bassists in the Las Vegas Philharmonic. Um, and then he knows this other guy who I forgot how he got involved with it, but he provides bassists or musicians for the Latin Grammys. And then he told my dad one time that he was missing a bass. My dad was like, "Oh, I got a son. He can do it." And me being a high school kid, I'll take any gig, especially if it's paid for. If I get paid,
Oh yeah.
uh, and I show up to the Latin Grammys, and I lost my driver's license uh, or my driver's permit, so I didn't really have any identification. And the lady hands me this labor union sheet that I have to fill out in order to get paid and to make sure I'm a U.S. citizen.
Hmm.
And she's like, what's your form of identification?" And I'm like, "Oh, my driver's permit." And I don't even have it. I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And then I hand her the form, and it's not filled out. And she's like, I need this identification." I'm like, okay, okay." And I'm just thinking, how do I just give this form to her so she'll shut up?
Had
Because
you
that's all I
lost the
want.
permit?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, because I don't know. What I've just learned is if you do anything with confidence, you can do anything. So I'm thinking, how do I give her this form, and she'll be like, "Oh yes, thank you," and I'll
Yeah.
just walk on the stage with my bass.
Yeah.
But
That
I
sounds
couldn't.
like that sounds like those Yes Theory videos where they like could dress up as a security guard when they don't work there at all, and they get like
Yeah,
a free pass into an amusement park. I guess if you just act like the role, you can get
you can
into
get it.
anything.
uh, but unfortunately, I don't know. I probably just could have made up an identification number, but then they probably would have seen it and called the cops on me or something. I didn't want to risk that.
Could have been worth it. Yeah.
So I walked out of the building disappointed because I just missed like 2 classes in school for nothing. I don't even get a paycheck.
He ended
Uh,
up performing.
yeah, then my dad's friend calls me and he's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, they didn't let me in. Uh, labor union." And he's like, "Don't worry, it's okay. The woman's getting mad at me." And there's this like old woman who's in charge of everything. She's like, she's the main person.
Yeah.
Everybody will kneel to her. And she's like, "What are you doing here? Get up on stage," or something. And she's like, "I don't care. I don't care about your identification. You have a social security number? That's fine. That's fine. Go up." And I'm like, "Oh, let's go."
Was it like a big crowd?
No, it was rehearsal. So
Oh,
nobody was there. They were just making sure with all the sound setting and everything. Uh, and yeah, I got the part. I performed with Yadra.
Colombian artist.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was, but he was all specked out in Gucci, I think, and he had two other people with him who I don't know. I don't know their names. Uh, and they had iPhones. I remember that. Like, yeah.
I think so.
Um,
um,
and well, I had long hair, longer than you,
at the
and
time, yeah.
yeah, they didn't vibe with it, so I had to go. They like strung it back farther than I've ever had it before, to the point where I was
Sheesh.
like bald, or it looked like that. Um, yeah, it was cool. A lot of hours, but I got paid pretty
Got
good,
paid.
and I
You
got
met
to go on
some.
TV. So
Hell yeah. And you met some famous Latin artists.
I, I didn't get to meet them, but
You saw them.
I
You
saw
saw
them.
them up close. Um, that's kind of crazy. You perform with them, they don't even know who you are.
They, yeah, they don't know who John Wherry is, so
Yeah,
they're lost
but they will. They will once this
someday.
podcast goes
Someday.
crazy, yo. One day they're gonna know.
Uh,
Um,
the crazy part was that they had a Mexican violinist there. I think they had Mexican violist there as well, maybe a cello player, and none of them knew. I don't think a lot of them knew how to speak English. Um,
well,
maybe
I
a
guess
couple
they might
did.
get into the labor union.
Uh, yeah, they were just called there on the spot. Hey, you play violin? Get up on stage. Uh,
It seems so nonchalant for something as big as the
well,
Grammys.
no, they flew them in, I think,
Okay,
uh,
okay,
but still, you know,
yeah,
you don't need to
yeah.
know English.
Um, I didn't expect you to make the comment, but sort of how uh, the Yatra, the Colombian artist, was just decked out in Gucci.
Hmm.
I wonder why. I guess at this point it's just like everybody does it, but why do artists and rappers in particular feel the need to just wear 20-pound chains and designer clothing?
Mm. Well, I don't know about the chains. I guess I get the chains because it's a little nice little trinket.
Yeah.
I get the clothing though because mm, probably everybody knows that I don't wear the most stylish clothes. Like this isn't designer or anything like that. But I do have. I love going to mm, any store really, and then looking at the clearance section so I can get cheap prices. Usually in the clearance section, they have just weird clothes, like experimental stuff. Sometimes, if you go to those stores, um,
Yeah.
and you can get pretty pimped out on some like $20 to $40 jackets, shirts.
That are probably the
If you
same
want to,
quality as a $1,000 Gucci shirt.
maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's this like I think suit that's red, and it's a Louis Vuitton and Supreme mashup, and
Jeez.
it looks beautiful to me, like beautifully dumb, and I love it. It's red, white. You're pimping. You're pimping.
Oh yeah. Louis Vuitton Supreme? Come on.
The combo is too much.
Yeah. But you don't have to dress expensive to look good. I sort of think that whenever you watch those like red carpet events, maybe not so much with the men, sometimes yeah, but like the female actresses or artists in particular wear these like crazy dresses. It's like,
Mhm.
why would anyone put this on?
like the
Uh,
South Park guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, when they went to the, I think,
I'm not gonna
Oscars or
understand
Grammys,
this reference.
they went there in dresses, like dressed up as women, and they were on acid.
Hmm.
And people were asking them like, "Oh, why are you dressing up like that?" And they just wouldn't answer the question. They would say, "Oh, it's a lovely evening. I love everything that's going on." It was really good.
What a reference.
Yeah, yeah.
Dressed as women on acid. What a show. I gotta start watching South Park and those adult films. I never
Mhm.
watched them when I was little. I would always, whenever I would be on a plane and you get like the movie and TV options, I would put on an adult film, but then my parents would tell me to take it off. I never watched
Oh,
adult films.
the best
Except,
thing was going to New York with our high school orchestra and band, and then I never fly with TVs on the backs of, I don't know, just TVs. I
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
travel with them. So this was my first time, and I got to choose movies. And so the three of us in our row, uh, we chose to watch, I think, The Hangover. No, Super Bad at the same time
Oh,
on the way to
is
New
that
York.
the McLovin?
Yeah, yeah,
That would be funny.
that's really good.
Yeah, you normally get them on the longer flights. How was that trip though?
Amazing. Uh,
You got to go. You performed in Carnegie Hall, right?
Not as exciting as
You expected,
not as exciting as Latin Grammys, where I get paid to just look like I'm playing the bass.
right?
But yeah, it was really cool. Um, a big stage, not that huge, but just there's an aura to it. Robin Williams was there.
Yeah.
Dvorak was there.
Carnegie Hall's legendary.
Someday I'll go there soloing.
Oh yeah, set those big goals. Um, we're gonna completely segue here,
Okay.
but we're gonna get nobody. I don't know how many people actually stick around for the whole podcast, but I guess we can get a little bit more controversial toward the end. Push those limits. Um, I was gonna mention our generation of like self-diagnosing,
Like
where
depression.
yeah,
Oh,
um, and I guess this sort of worries me with my own family, where it's like, oh, I have a headache, ibuprofen, and it's like
mm,
everything is medicated, and as long as it's legal, it's totally okay. Um, or like a kid is a little bit too energetic. Oh, he has ADHD. Medicate him. What do you think about that?
um, it's hard to say because I don't take medication. But I watched the Kanye West and Joe Rogan podcast today, which
I watched that too.
that was
Yeah,
it was an experience, that's for sure. um,
yeah.
but Kanye West was like, "Hmm, you didn't take medication today? Well, did you brush your teeth today? Because toothpaste has fluoride in it, which blocks something in your pineal gland or something, which means that
That's
it
where
blocks
I think.
creativity."
I mean, that's why you spit it out. That's why you don't swallow.
Maybe you're around it.
That was a had some sort of sexual connotation to it. But um, I guess that's Kanye does get a little crazy with those
Yeah.
things. So one of the comments said he talks like he tweets. And for those of you that have seen his Twitter, he's a little cuckoo. But yeah,
But
I guess he sort of does have a point to people that just like medicate everything.
yeah, once you get to that point, you have to really worry about what you're putting into your body,
Mm.
which mm, I kind of did because my mom went vegan, so we had to worry about putting meat into our bodies. But mm, if you want to get really, really fresh and be an actual human instead of a doped up person,
Yeah.
you'd have to probably create a farm and live off of your own food supply.
Yeah, like food is so processed these days.
Hmm.
Um, my dad comes from South America and comes from a country there that is like 80% farmland. I'm pretty sure they have more cows than people. I'm actually like pretty sure that's a fact.
It's like Nebraska.
Is Nebraska like that too?
Yeah,
Do
it's just like
you live
a
in Nebraska?
fields of corn and beans,
Just
soybeans.
farmland.
Hmm.
But like when he was little, like the food he bought in the grocery store came from like 20 miles away.
Hmm.
And now everything is like mass processed. And um, I remember watching a video freshman year of like how we get our chicken, and they just pack. I mean, don't get it twisted. I still eat chicken, and nothing gonna stop me from eating chicken. I'm not. I'm not going vegan or anything, but it's still kind of sad to think about. No, it's very sad to think about. Like they just pack the chickens. They even like cut off their beaks so that they're not like poking at each other since they're so packed, and then they just kill them, and then they send them to us, or
Hmm.
like put hormones in their food so they get more eggs. Um,
It's industrialized food.
yeah,
Um,
which wouldn't be necessary if we ate normal amounts.
yeah, or we had this fast food market, but like it's so you can't go back from fast food. Just the convenience of fast food is so
Attractive.
yeah. Mhm. That reminds me that my mom would go to live with her grandparents sometime, and yeah, I think her friend gave her a rabbit. I think, or maybe she had a rabbit. She had a rabbit, and she really loved it, and she'd carry it around. And she took it to her grandparents' home, and they were like, "Oh, let us keep it, because the city rabbit wouldn't do good there.
They
Leave him
kill
on
it.
the farm." And then I think she came back the next summer or something, and the the grandmother had a rabbit farm, I think. And she was like, "Oh, where's my rabbit?" And the grandmother was like, "We ate it, and it was so good that we just had to get more."
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's so traumatic. If you
Yeah,
have like a little pet rabbit.
the Russian stories are always like that in my family. They always start out nice, and then it's just like a tragedy at the end.
I
And
saw this clip of Lex Friedman, who's Russian, and it was a he. I'm not completely sure who the guest was, but it was some guy who was like very conscious about like his health and diet and everything. They were talking about like intermediate fasting, how really it's only necessary to have like one meal a day, and they were talking about dieting and like even fasting. And Lex Friedman, who's Russian, was like, sometimes I like to fast not just because it's healthy, but because I'm Russian and I like to suffer.
oh,
And I like to starve myself sometimes. And I was like,
oh,
nice. I just watched this movie the other day too. I forgot what it's called. It was like at the gates of the enemy. It was something like that. It was about the Battle of Stalingrad.
mm,
Um, and it's crazy how much the Russian people sacrificed to save the motherland in World War
mm,
II. Like supposedly, as the Germans pushed forward, they would burn all their homes and farms and food supply, so that when the Germans got there, they couldn't uh, loot for anything or get food. And
mhm.
then when the winter came, they went down just like Napoleon. So,
Yeah, I forgot what it was called. I feel like it was called Operation Firestorm or something.
gosh,
Um, 1 second.
yeah, yeah.
So my mom came in. And she's like, "Oh wait, we're recording this."
Minor inconvenience.
Okay,
Sorry about
back.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not Operation Firestorm. It's Scorched Earth. I don't even know
Close.
if it was Operation. It's just called Scorched Earth, where they're just destroying everything so that the enemy can't have anything. Almost like a man with nothing to lose should be feared, or that type of mentality.
There's, I, my dad told me about the story. I forgot exactly how it goes, so I probably shouldn't even be saying it in the first place. But I guess we'll improvise. Um, about this like village that was at the top of the hill, and they were fighting this other army that was at the bottom, and they just sort of were at a stalemate. Nobody was really winning, and so the days were passing and passing, and the village at the top was starting to run out of food. And so obviously they would have all starved to death because there's an army waiting for them down there. So they go down, they die, whatever. And so they sort of reverse psychology that hoe, and they're like, let's. They had one cow left. That was their, and they had a bunch of wheat, and that's all they had left, just one cow and a bunch of wheat. And so instead of surviving on that last bit of food, what they did after months of a stalemate, they cut open the cow and they put in all their wheat and they rolled it down the hill. And then the enemy thought, "Oh, we got to surrender because if they're rolling down an entire cow filled with wheat, they must be able to go at this for a long time."
Mm.
Um, and the army marched away. And it's kind of crazy how the risk they took just getting rid of their final food supply to trick the enemy. So I guess that's, damn, we were talking about the art of war at the beginning, and we're
Deception.
ending on the art of war now. But I was going to bring that
Sounds
up
so.
earlier, the whole deception thing, how they just took their final food supply and sort of used it as a message that we can do this for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, but the Russians went crazy, yo.
Yeah. I
I mean,
think
Stalin.
I think it was something like the Germans were only able to take like one street or one block at a time for 1 month. Or how do I say that? Every month they were only able to take one street
Mhm.
because the Germans would like walk across the street and then they would get shot. Uh, it was just guerrilla warfare basically. Um, so yeah,
The
that's my
Russians
that's
are,
my heritage. Heritage.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Your brother looks so Russian.
Mm.
You guys are blonde and just look Russian. Russia is so uh, legendary. It's like nobody's ever been able to conquer Russia in the winter.
Except for the Mongols.
Yeah, except for Genghis Khan. But I mean, that man is, if there was ever God in a human, it was Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
No, that's terrible. He was a terrible person.
He raped women,
I'm pretty sure he
burned
had like,
down
did he
villages.
have like 5,000 kids?
Well, I know that one kid was the descendant of him in my AP World class 2 years ago. So like,
Actually? Like he
yeah,
did
so
an
that
ancestry test?
I think so. Like that DNA got passed everywhere.
Oh my God. I guess that's what happens when you go village to village and rape thousands of women. You go to
Hmm.
class in AP World and there's a descendant of a Mongol.
At least one.
Um, at least one. I'm pretty sure there's like a percentage of the world that has Genghis Khan blood.
Well, even if they weren't a rapist, or actually, maybe I shouldn't say that, because oh, who is it? I think every president except I forgot who it was. Even Barack Obama. Every president except one was related to King George.
How many kids did
I
he have?
forgot the name. I don't know. But for like, you could say it's almost like trickle down economics, where you just have 3 or so kids, they have 3 kids, and then it's just multiplying. Um, Obama's a descendant of King George. Maybe it's not even King George, but a king in England. Maybe he's a descendant because he's mixed race.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a rapist.
You just got to have a lot of kids.
But it definitely helps to have a lot of kids.
There's this I don't know if it's really a story. I'm supposing this happens in a lot of places, but I'm Latino, and when you live in America and you have Latino friends, you sort of have people from all over the place, like Puerto Rico, Colombia, Dominican Republic. And there's this, not person, but I guess it's the title you give to a person, where you call them tigre, which is tiger. And the tigre of the village is the guy that sort of gets every woman, just sort of impregnates her and dips. And there's like stories where there's a tiger of the village that has so many kids that nobody can reproduce in that town anymore because they're all related.
Oh no.
So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Stay strapped. Stay protected. And I think that's a pretty good note to end the podcast on. I say that's a pretty good note to end the podcast on. Stay strapped, ladies and gentlemen. Stay protected. And if you have sex, whatever, just wear a mask. You know what I'm saying? COVID is still out there. Wear a mask.
Or just stay 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah. Sex 6 feet away. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't want to picture that in my head, but I guess we went there already. But yeah, episode 4 with John Wherry. We had some other topics that we wanted to touch on, but we might save that for a later time. My man John Wherry is going to be sort of the regular guest here, suits the image of the podcast. So next one, some interesting topics. Yeah.
An interesting guest as well. Do you have someone else coming on who's interesting?
Hopefully everybody that comes on is interesting.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Gonna start trying to grind out more episodes. It's difficult getting guests, So all the shit we talk about, the internet and social media, thank God it's here, because I don't know how else I would find people to come on. TikTok, thank you so much. And yeah, so might start pumping out more episodes. Also, I started a TikTok. Go follow the Twitter. Go follow the other shit related to the account. Drop a like, subscribe.
Is it going to be in the description?
Yeah, everything will be in the description. John's social media will also be in the description. And with that, have a blessed day, everybody, and peace out.